Something happened many years ago which I had forgotten entirely and I had moved on from that. But I had this dream, but prior to having this dream, I was thinking of what I wanted to create, like create on video. And then because the weather was very chill, I dozed off to sleep. And in my sleep, I had this dream where I met this man from many years ago whom I used to know. I don't really know him, but I knew he was part of our neighbor or something. So he was like, "Oh, have you forgiven me for what I did many years ago?" And I was like, "Oh, like that is like all in the past and everything and all that." And when I woke up, I just had like this idea in mind to talk about something that I would say that when it happened, it felt like something terrible happened, and it wasn't what we wanted to happen back then, but it happened. But today I look back at it and see that, oh, we actually learned a lot and we had a lot of great opportunity just because this happened. And I want to give you a little backstory, and most importantly, my main point is to try to let you know that sometimes things go wrong for better things to appear. Like sometimes when things happen, you might think that, oh, like, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Like, we always ask ourselves these questions, but better things are always like the reason why the things go bad is for better things to happen. And this was like around more than 15 years ago when we used to live in the city of furniture. We woke up one morning. Actually, this was within the period when I was supposed to start. I was secondary school, my first year in secondary school, and that morning we woke up and just a normal morning. We had our morning tea. We were just like getting ready for our early morning routine when we had a knock on the door. And then this guy in question, whom I saw in my dream, he was with some other persons, and it turned out that we had to leave like where we are staying. We were being thrown out of the place we were staying. It was just like totally unexpected, but we had to pack up. Like it was so swift, so fast, and before you know it, all our properties were just outside. So, but later that day, we had to get a pack up the load and move to the next city where we had a house, which was like a family house. So that was our only option that day, and we moved there that day. Remember, this was within the period when I was supposed to start my first year in secondary school. So it was a lot of activities. It was a lot of things. Like I didn't even plan to leave. Like I had friends, I had a life going on, and everything just changed. So that day, like it was totally somewhat depressing, not totally depressing, but somewhat depressing. And the few days afterward, having to adjust, moving to a new city, all swiftly, unplanned, like so crazy. But afterwards, over the years have passed, like I said, this was more than 15 years ago. And since then, a lot has happened, and a lot has, like, I have totally forgotten all about those things. I don't even believe, I can't remember the last time I even went to that compound or even that city because I don't live in that city anymore. But having to leave that place actually came with a lot of blessings, which when I woke up, I have to like think back and recall to see that, oh, not staying in that place was actually a blessing to us. But in that moment when all those things happened, it felt as though like so crazy. So I can give you a few of the blessing because like I said, I was supposed to start my first year, and why I haven't started was like we're trying to gather funds to go and register and do all sort of things. But when I moved to the next city, it like the next city which was in another state in fact, but in that city the like Education there was totally free for everyone. Like I did not have to pay anything. I just went there and started schooling. So you could see it was like I was moved from where I was waiting for a miracle to occur, and that miracle had to take that form where we had to be forcefully removed from a place that I would today consider was no longer what we needed in our own development stage, and we had to move to a new place. And I started schooling. I completed my secondary school years without having to pay a dime, not even for my final year exam. Nothing. I never paid anything. Everything was totally free. And having to move to that other city, I could say that I have peace of mind. If you live in Onitsha, or if you know Onitsha, or if you can Google Onitsha on your phone, what you are going to see is five-story building, like buildings compacted together. There is no living space. There is barely any breathing space in between the buildings, so it's very chaotic. And we live in this market area. So when we moved to the other city, it was opposite of what we used to live. There were trees. There was like like I said, it was our family compound, but there were few people in the compound, which means that everywhere was always quiet. So I got to live an opposite life of what I was living, and I loved this new life because it was very quiet. In Onitsha, 5 a.m., everywhere is noisy. People are going to the market, opening stores. Everywhere is so crowded. But when I moved to this new city, everything was all like absolute peace of mind and quiet. Like you can enjoy afternoon sleeps, you can enjoy evening walks. Like I was so grateful that I had to leave after I have left, because then I was like, oh, I wish we could have stayed back. But after I had left and I was seeing all the beautiful things that I am gaining from that experience, also, we then did not have to pay any rent again. And we stopped worrying about having to pay rent, and no one is going to come and throw us out again. So, as you could see, what was like a problem, a challenge, something that we didn't want, was actually leading us to something better. And having to move, live in a new place, have all those experience, it gave me new perspective on life, which means that my life was different from what it used to be. I had a totally different idea of what life is, and you have some experiences, you learn from it. I would say that just because I left there, I had an entirely different life. Like, if I had lived in Onitsha, I know that, of course, I would have the best experience, but it would be different from what I lived. I met so many new people, I had friends, I had experiences. It wasn't always beds and roses, but it was something that was worth it, and I enjoyed it to the fullest. So having to have this dream where this particular person was like a mastermind in everything that happened, which is none of my business, because like I said, I've all left it in the past and I've all forgiven everything. Like I don't even have any grudge to forgive. But I just had this dream and it came to my mind. And here, what I can say is that I don't have any grudge against the person. I don't regret having to live there. Rather, I look back and I see all the things that I gained just because that happened. And I'm encouraging you, my viewers, today, like if there are things that you're going through in your life, it doesn't really mean that that is the end. It's usually leading to something, but life can sometimes take a long time for what is trying to teach you to happen. But if you have patience, you will smile at the end, just like I'm smiling while recalling everything that happened. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, and don't forget to like, share your opinion if you have any. I'll be sure to reply to your comment. Until next time, bye.